Hi everybody, it's Mr. Smith, and today we're going to be working on our rounders skills. Now, rounders is a striking and fielding game. So what that means is we're going to break this little lesson down into two parts, a striking part and a fielding part. Now we're going to start off with a warm-up before we go into any of those activities, because it's really important for you guys to make sure that your muscles and that your body is completely ready for physical activity before we start. Okay, so that you don't cause yourself an injury or you don't run out of energy at all throughout the session. So what we're going to do is start off with running around the outside of the four bases which I've set up behind me. And we're going to start to run round in one direction, and then we're going to change and run round in another direction. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so once you've done that once, what we're going to do is each side that we run round of the four bases, we're going to perform a different exercise. Okay? And you can continue to do that for a minute, and then you're going to rest, and then you can go around in the opposite direction and do it again. So you choose the different exercises that you perform when you go around each side, but you must make sure they're different every time. Okay, so step number one of the warm-up was just jogging around. Then step number two was performing different exercises when you go across each side of the four bases. Okay? Okay, once you've completed your warm-up and you've got some drink and some fluids on board to keep yourself hydrated, we're then going to start our first part of the rounders activity. So we're going to start off with, like I said, fielding. Now, fielding includes catching and it includes throwing, because if you think about it, when you're on the fielding team in rounders, you have to run to go and collect the ball, then you would have to throw it or run with the ball, and then if you're the receiver and someone's throwing it to you who's on your team, you might have to catch it. Okay, and they're the three skills that we're going to work on today. So if you have a look, I've set it up where I've put the four bases, and then in the middle of my area I've put 4 dots down, and I've put 4 different balls inside there. Okay, right in the middle. Now, you don't have to use 4 buckets or whatever. I've used a variety of things. I've used a cardboard box here. I've used 3 buckets from that I got at my garage. You could use saucepans, you could use absolutely anything, as long as whatever you use holds the ball inside of it. Okay? And again, like the dots, you could put socks down, you could put sticks. It really doesn't matter. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to start in the middle, and then I'm going to run around one of the bases and go back into the middle, and I'm going to pick up a ball, and I'm going to use an underarm throw to throw it into the base, as if I'm throwing towards somebody's on the same team as me. Once I've done that, I then come back, I choose a different base, I run round it, return back to the middle, and then I get underarm throw into that base, and so on and so forth until I've thrown all 4 balls. Then what I do is I count how many I've got and see if I can beat my score next time. Okay, I'll show you how to play. So I scored 1 out of 4, See if you can beat me. Give it a go. Okay, so hopefully you've given that a good go. Now, like I said to you before, when we do the practice of the fielding side of rounders, it's not just throwing that's involved, but also running to go and collect the ball, and possibly returning and running with the ball to touch a base. Okay, so this time we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start in the middle, and then we're going to run to a base, collect the ball, and return it and place it back into the middle. And this time you're going to have to time yourself. So you can use a phone, you can use a clock, whatever you want to use to time yourself, and see how quickly you can return all 4 balls back into the middle. So as if you're getting them back to the bowler, or you're putting them, you're touching them on the base. Okay, let me show you. Three, two, one. So I managed to do that in 12 seconds. See if you can beat me. Go. Okay guys, so you've done a little bit of fielding where you've gone to collect the ball and you've thrown it back to a target, like you're on the fielding team in rounders. I said that the third skill though, that we need to practice on when we are fielders, will be catching. Okay, so you might need to catch, you might need to receive a ball that's being thrown to you by a teammate, or you might even catch a ball that's been struck by one of the batsmen on the opposition team. Okay, so if you look behind me, I have marked out a target square on a wall. That's in my garden. You can do this indoors. Obviously be safe, ask your parents' permission before you do this. If you're outside, it's a lot easier to do than if you're indoors because of the confined space. But it's completely up to you. Now, you don't have to use masking tape. You could use chalk. You could use anything really to mark it. You might not even put a mark on there. You might just have an area of the wall that you want to throw the ball onto. Okay, and the purpose for the wall is it's going to be like a person that's throwing it to you, or a person who is a batter who's striking the ball to you. Okay, so what you're going to do is we're going to work on 2 different types of throw, and you've got to react and catch the ball. Okay, so let me show you. So first of all, we're going to work on an underarm throw. So you need to really get away from the target. 1, 2, 3 big steps minimum. Okay, you can be further away if you want to make it harder for yourself. It's completely up to you. So first thing you're going to do, you're going to use an underarm throw into the target. You're going to get your hands ready and catch it before it bounces onto the floor. Okay, practice not just throwing with your right arm, but also throwing with the left arm as well. And if you want to make it harder for yourself, try and practice catching with one hand, with your weaker hand as well. Okay. Now you could do that for as many times as you want, just practicing underarm throws, catching with 2 hands, catching with 1 hand. Remember, like I said to you, you can make it harder by stepping further back. You could make the target smaller if you like. Okay, so the second part we're going to move on to is a bounce pass. So you're going to bounce the ball onto the floor, make sure it lands in the target, and then you're going to catch it once it's rebounded off the wall. Okay, and again, do that for as long as you can. What you may have noticed me doing now is I don't just stand on the spot, but actually I've got to move towards the target to go and catch it. Again, you can make it harder for yourself by stepping further back, trying to aim and throw into that target, because remember, it's also working on your throwing skills as well, which are really important to rounders. And just see how you get on. Alright, so the third and final part of this catching practice is little reactions. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to step a little bit further back. I would say a minimum of 5 steps back this time. You're going to underarm throw or bounce throw into the target, and then after the ball's bounced once, you're then going to react and try and catch the ball. You cannot let the ball bounce more than once. Okay, let me show you how that works. I'll move the camera around slightly so I can just get the target in. Okay, so I'm going to step back now 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm a little bit further away. I'm going to use an underarm throw first. I'm going to let it bounce once, and then I'm going to react to catch it. On my toes, so I'm ready. Underarm throw, bounce, catch. Then I might use a bounce pass, throw it on, bounce once, react and catch. So those bounce throws are slightly harder. Bounce, hit the target, let it bounce, catch. Okay, so a little reaction gain there at the end. Okay, enjoy. Okay, so now for the second part of this rounders activity, we're now going to work on the striking element of the game. So if you have a look at how I've set up my area, I've put 3 dots, and again, like I said, it doesn't have to be dots, it could be socks, as long as they're 3 different colours, and you're going to make it look like a triangle. Okay, now it needs to be, you need to make sure that when you play, you're facing towards the buckets. So have a look at where I've set out my buckets. Look, I've got another triangle that's opposite, and you need to be facing towards the bucket, and you're going to act like a batsman. Okay, now you're going to have 3 shots, and each time that you strike the ball, you're going to use a different type of striking technique. Now you're going to only be using your hands to start off with, and then I'll show you a little progression of how to make it harder and more realistic to the game. Okay, so here's step number 1. So I stand in the middle of the triangle, and I'm going to take 1 ball. I throw the ball up for myself to hit it. Now, I've got, remember to make sure that you stand inside your triangle, and whenever you hit the ball, you're going to aim at a different target. Now, if you're right-handed and you're aiming to the bucket that's on your left, you're using a forearm, the inside of your hand, to hit the ball. If you're aiming directly in front of you, again, you're going to be using the inside forearm strike to get it into the bucket, and if you're aiming to the right, you're going to be using the outside of your hand, so we call that the backhand. Okay, let me show you and see how many you get into the buckets. So I got 1 out of 3. See if you can beat me. You can practice that as many times as you like. To make it harder for yourself, you can put the bases, the buckets, slightly further away, so it increases the range, the distance that you are striking the ball. Okay, you can make the targets smaller. Okay, you could move your triangle further away. It's completely up to you. Okay. Okay, step number 2 of the striking part of the rounder session. We're going to strike the ball, but we're actually now going to bounce it and strike it to ourselves. And once you've, whatever bucket or target you've chosen to strike towards, you're then going to run around that target and return back to the triangle to then do your next shot. Okay, let me show you how it works. So I put my balls behind the triangle. I take 1, I'm going to bounce it to myself and strike towards the target. Once I've struck it, I'm then going to run round and return back, get my next one, bounce it, strike. Run round as quickly as I can, back in, throw it up, strike. Round, back in. Okay? So give that a go. That ties in the 2 skills that we've worked on, striking, but also the running element. So think about the rounders. Once you struck the ball, you've got to run around the 4 bases, haven't you? Okay? Okay, so now what I've done is I've added in an extra base. So now I've got 4 bases, 4 targets to aim towards. I've also added in an extra ball. So I'm going to do the same as before. I'm going to bounce it to myself then I'm going to strike it to each target. But this time, once I've struck the ball, I'm going to run round all 4 bases and then come back into my striking triangle. Okay? Superb. Now what you can do is, once you've had a couple of goes at that, you can, once you've struck all 4 of the balls, whether they've gone in the targets or they haven't, like me, I've got 0 out of 4, that's okay. You can then do the reverse. So you can link in one of the practices we worked on before, and then do that straight after. So let me show you. I've just completed striking the ball, running around the 4 bases. Then once you've returned back to that striking triangle, this is what you'll then do. So then you've put the fielding element in, and you've collected the balls and returned them back to the triangle. Then what you can do is actually do what we did before and link in one of the other practices where we're going to throw towards one of the targets. Once you've thrown to the target with an underarm throw, you're then going to go around the target and return back to the triangle. Let me show you. So what you'll notice is, once you tie all 3 of those things together, so the striking, returning the ball, fielding, then the throwing, you'll find like I am now, breathing heavily, okay, because I'm working harder, okay. So tie those 3 together, you've worked on fielding, and you've also worked on striking, okay. Hope you're happy with that, guys. Give it a go. Please send in your videos to us, letting us know how you get on. Remember, points means prizes. Enjoy. Okay guys, so just a final little message from me before you just go ahead and complete the whole rounders session. So during those the striking part or the fielding part, you can obviously come up with your own ways to make the practices A, harder, B, easier, C, more competitive. So if you've got somebody in your household, such as a parent or a sibling, who also wants to get involved and play these games with you, then together you can come up with a way of incorporating both of those players, or you know, it might be up to 3, 4, 5, depending on how many are in your household, to all play and make it competitive. Because what I really like about sports is the competition side. I like competing against somebody else, okay? Because it adds the challenge to the game, but also it can make it more fun when you're socially with other people, okay? So you can do that. So for example, in that striking game where you were throwing it up and bouncing it to yourself and then striking it, you could actually get a parent to underarm bolt you, or your sibling to underarm bolt you, yeah? So you come up with other ways. These are just ideas. Like I say in all my PE videos that I've done so far, they're just ideas. You guys have ownership over what you do, okay? So there's going to be some points, like I said before, for people taking pictures or recording themselves playing the game. That's super. But if you design your own game and put a competitive spin on it and get other people involved, then we will award you extra points for that, okay? So enjoy the game, enjoy playing it, and I'll look forward to seeing your ideas, but also people getting involved and participating in this activity. Alright guys, take care, see you later.